Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. I'm Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we are back with another episode for you guys today, recapping the start of Week 2. It's Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Guess we'll talk about how that went in just a little bit here, because we thought we might get away from it. Who knows? It was ups and downs. We're going to recap Thursday Night Football, have a good time, look forward to the week ahead, maybe introduce a new segment to you guys. Who knows?
Oh.
First things first, Wes, how's it going?
I'm great. I've had a good week since our last episode. When you were here, we were talking about I was going to watch Kung Fu Panda with my girlfriend. Hey, that's still a good movie. I recommend. If you haven't watched it in a while, it's a fun time. It holds up. It's one of those like kid animated movies that's like, I'm having a good time as a 26, almost 27-year-old. It's a great time. And then, so I guess before the Thursday game, went on a hike with some friends to celebrate a birthday. That may sound strange, but we went to Malibu. Got to see a nice Pacific Ocean view. Great time. And then had a shower beer after the hike, because that's what I do. Fourth and Troll condones shower beers. And
over the age of 21.
Oh, legally, please. Golly. And then I basically watched this
15-year-old who's like, Mom, they said.
Finally, we have that much influence. And then I watched this game last night, and I walked with more questions and was hoping we'd get off to a start for Week 2 that made sense, but we got a lot of players to discuss. But before that, how are you, Noah? How's your week been?
I'm good. Week's been good. It feels like it's gone by quickly and also insanely slow all at the same time. It feels like everything's been moving super quickly.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that I am now one day closer to getting to sit on the couch and watch NFL Red Zone on Sunday, because we didn't get to do that last week because we got to watch Tua Tagovailoa throw for 466 yards and Tyreek Hill catch 215 yards of them and 2 touchdowns. If anybody missed that, just a little plug there for you. But we didn't get Red Zone. We didn't get to watch Red Zone last week. We're up and at 'em and driving to the stadium. Where parking opens at 10:30, and so we're there and just going and getting ready and all this stuff. And we didn't get to watch any Red Zone. A brief little bit on a phone, stuff like that. But I am thrilled to sit on the couch.
It'll be a proper Sunday for us.
Yep, and just NFL Red Zone, 7 hours of commercial-free football. Scott Hansen serenading my ears. It's gonna be fantastic. I think I'm in love with him. I don't know about you. I think I'm just in love with Scott Hansen.
I mean, it's honestly to the death between you and I who gets to spend our lives with Scott Hansen, because
I know 7
hours just a week with him.
Talk about a custody battle.
so I got him anyway.
I don't know. But guys, Thursday Night Football just made us go crazy. I don't know what's going on right now. Anyway, we got a great show for you guys today. Real quick, just want to say thank you to you guys, because we love doing this podcast. We love being able to joke around about custody battles with Scott Hansen and be so disappointed in how Amazon Prime is presenting football, and just do everything we have done on this podcast. We love doing it, and we hit a special milestone yesterday. On Wednesday. We crossed over the 100 subscriber mark on YouTube, which is so awesome, and we thank you guys so much. Every single one of you that are subscribed. Anyone who is watching this, anyone who has supported us from the beginning, we are so grateful. It's hundreds more to come, but we are so thrilled and honored and thankful and grateful, and just so much for you guys for just being supporters of the show. It's really, really cool. This is something we've talked about doing for a few years now, and it's cool that in our second year we've grown to a point of, we're in the triple digits of subscribers. We think that's pretty awesome. So we're very grateful. Thank you guys so much. It has been
an
awesome ride. and we can't wait for what is to come. And what's to come on the episode here, like we said, is going to be a Thursday Night Football recap. We're going to try and make sense of what we watched because, honestly, I still don't really know, but it's going to be fun. We're obviously going to do our studs and our duds for week 2. Going to make our call-outs, who's going to overperform, who's going to underperform, get you guys that information. And then we're going to introduce you to a little bit of a new segment we call Beat the Crowd. And I'll explain that in just a little bit. We'll leave a little suspense to come. But first, let's jump into the news. And before we do that, go ahead and follow us on all our social media down here. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Right now, we're currently at 104 subscribers. Who's going to be number 105? I dare you. I bet it'll be you. You know, I bet it will be. I bet it will be you. Just boom, and then hit the subscribe, ring that bell, and just stick around. It's going to be a great season for Fourth and Troll Fantasy. Now that we are here, Wes, let us jump into the news. There's some things to talk about because there's some injuries, and we got to go over them because they are impactful for lineups.
It's not as much for the news segment itself, but these are all important names, starting with Deontay Johnson, who is expected to miss several weeks with a hamstring injury. Right now, I don't know if you happen to see anything, Noah, but I didn't see any specific timetable, so this is going to be TBD. Obviously, George Pickens steps in as the number 1 wideout for the Steelers. Hopefully, when Johnson returns, he's going to be the way he was, but there's no exact clear understanding of what the hamstring injury is. Is it Cooper Kupp bad? Is it just a slight tweak? Another player we're going to talk about that has kind of a tweak for hamstring injury, so it's going to be tough to see what happens to Deontay Johnson. You got a comment. I feel like you want to talk about him.
It's a weird situation, I feel like. I love Deontay Johnson. I have him in so many of my leagues this year. Really disappointed when he went down in week 1. But it's difficult and it's an interesting situation because I've seen reports that are saying Deontay Johnson will miss up to 4 weeks. Yet Deontay Johnson is still listed and reporting himself to reporters that he is day-to-day. And on our fantasy football platforms, he is yet to be ruled out for Sunday's game, which is infuriating when you have a chance to move him into an IR spot and be able to pick somebody up off the waivers, because I get it, he plays on Monday. But when we're getting reports that he's going to be out for up to 4 weeks, and then he's saying, I'm day-to-day, and it was a bad couple days at first, but I'm getting around on it now and stuff like that. Just confusing. Something to monitor if you're a Deontay Johnson owner. I mean, I'm having a tough time trying to monitor this one. For context, I'm in a league at work. I'm in my fantasy football league at work. No one picked up Joshua Kelly. He is sitting on the waiver wire, and I have Deontay Johnson, and I'm just like, I can't. I'm not willing to drop anybody for Joshua Kelly.
Drop.
Right, but I'm like, can we rule him out? Please, so that because he's just in there. He's been sitting there for a couple of days now, and it's like I'm just waiting. I'm sitting here waiting, and I know somebody's going to go pick him up, and I'm just waiting for Deontay Johnson to get ruled out so I can drop him into this IR spot. It's infuriating. Whew. Something to monitor for sure. I'm keyed in on the info here, guys, because I'm really, really holding on to this one here. Anyway, Deontay Johnson, monitor the situation for sure.
Speaking of Joshua Kelly, Austin Eckler has actually been dealing with this ankle, as Brandon Staley put it. But it is an ankle injury bad enough that he did exempt practice on Thursday. This is definitely worth monitoring. Obviously, Austin Eckler is a superstar, but we just watched Joshua Kelly put up 91 yards on 50% snap count against the Dolphins. So if you don't have Joshua Kelly, or he's still on the waiver wire, as Noah has as an opportunity, please go get him. He was one of our waiver wire ads from last week. A couple other injuries to pay attention to. If anyone is interested, Greg Dulcich is going to be out for multiple weeks with a hamstring injury as well. Adam Troutman is the next in line for the tight end position for those that are in some kind of very deep league. Matt LaFleur commented on Aaron Jones's hamstring injury and said that they're going to let it take its course during the week before they make any kind of determinations. Now, as of now, Aaron Jones has missed up to 2 practices this week. That is something to pay attention to as well. Obviously, A.J. Dillon is still an important player in this backfield, and Christian Watson may still return. Please pay attention to this because he was basically RB1 last week. Last 2 pieces of news. Puka Nacua is dealing with an oblique injury, and he missed Thursday's practice. So as of now, it doesn't seem to be incredibly serious enough that he's already been ruled out, but it's also very important to pay attention to because he seems, in our eyes, in 4th and Troll, a legitimate option. 15 targets is no joke, so we'll need to see if he's going to miss any time. Last piece of news for the Cowboys. Brandon Cooks has a grade 1 MCL sprain. He is only questionable for week 1. That's it for the news. Now, let's try to figure out what we learned from Thursday night between the Vikings and the Eagles.
Yeah, listen, your guys' guess is as best as ours right now. We're figuring this out ourselves. We'll run through our must starts, risky starts, and don't starts here. And Wes and I want to start with our don't start because on the podcast on Tuesday, we said don't start DeAndre Swift. We had no report that Kenneth Gainwell was not playing, you guys.
We didn't know.
Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles went back to 1980s football on Thursday night and just ground and pounded against this Vikings defense. Brian Flores was dropping everyone back. Obviously, when you have the weapons that you have in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, you're going to play back on that pass defense against the Eagles. He was rushing like 3 guys the whole night, and DeAndre Swift tore it up on the ground. 28 carries for 175 yards and a touchdown. Thank goodness he got the touchdown, you guys, because, listen, it would have been a good fantasy day either way, but I kept feeling so bad for this guy that he would get them down to the 1-yard line, and then Jalen Hurts just falls into the end zone, and there he goes, and he gets the fantasy points and a touchdown for it. Listen, this is not... I was going to say this is not a sign of things to come, but I honestly have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen with this team. Obviously, game script was a little different. Game script was a little weird. When Jalen Hurts only throws for 193 yards in a football game, you can tell that they ran the football a lot. So, listen, DeAndre Swift had 28 carries. Yes, great performance. Nothing to take away from that performance. Kenneth Gainwell had a solid performance in week 1, so I don't know what this is going to look like. I do know that they'll both see work again.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this performance was enough for DeAndre Swift to take that role from Kenneth Gainwell. I wouldn't be surprised if next week it's like...
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift is the one who gets 18 touches and Kenneth Gainwell gets 6 or 7, that sort of thing, which then would make Kenneth Gainwell irrelevant. So it's tough. It is so tough for Gainwell owners who are feeling so good after week 1, whether you drafted him with one of the last picks in your draft, whether you picked him up off of waivers. Personally, I traded for Kenneth Gainwell this week. There's a guy in our Trollers League who needed a start this week, and he had just traded for Kenneth Gainwell. I had picked up Kyron Williams off of waivers. He approached me. He said, "Would you take any running back on my team for Kyron Williams? And I can give you the fab back that you paid for Kyron." I said, "Yeah, sure." I love the potential of Gainwell. He got a lot of touches, and then now I'm sitting here with Kenneth Gainwell on my team, going, "What do I do with this dude? You
got duped."
I thought I got a running back who would sit in my lineup here, and instead I just. Now I got to sit on my bench for a couple of weeks to figure out what the running back room plays out as. So, listen, DeAndre Swift, fantastic game. 28 carries. I think it was the most rushing yards by an Eagles running back since LaShawn McCoy. He tore it up. Good for him. He was running real well. Wes, you are a DeAndre Swift truther. How are you feeling watching him be able to pull out this kind of game?
Well, I've been supporting him, and it was part of the reason we posed the question here on the show. What if DeAndre Swift meets his potential? And I do think this is possible with the Eagles. I also don't ever see him getting 28 carries. I don't see him getting 20 carries in a game again.
Right.
So this is an incredible opportunity to sell so high on DeAndre Swift. Where DeAndre Swift's bread and butter with Detroit was PPR, and 3 targets, 3 catches, 3 targets, 6 yards. That's something I'm going to use as an opportunity to convince myself that this was just a really good game. This was taking advantage of a Vikings defense that was coordinated by Brian Flores, who just kept dropping everyone back in zone coverage. And sometimes it didn't work because Devonta Smith had a great game, but they literally never changed formations for the Vikings defense. It was a constant deep coverage. They were in soft coverage. They pushed back. They backpedaled on every single snap, and the secondary was way behind. I don't know if that's going to happen again. I don't know exactly what the Eagles' schedule is or where they're playing next time, but for me, as much as I like this, I don't have a problem keeping him and seeing what happens next. But I bet by the time this episode comes out, you could trade DeAndre Swift for Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm just going to put that out there. There's an opportunity to just make that swap and take advantage of 28 freaking carries. Because let's be real, the Eagles' offense is probably not going to go through the ground game. It's still going to go through that trio. That's my take. As much as I love this, I could be proven wrong. I mean, it's honestly, we could really just get proven wrong again next week, and DeAndre Swift is amazing. But that's my interpretation of this game.
Yeah, it's a fantastic. You said it exactly how it should be said. It's a fantastic sell high opportunity. You should be putting DeAndre Swift on the trade block yesterday, essentially, which is actually hilarious because the DeAndre Swift owner in the Trollers League put DeAndre Swift on the trade block by like halftime. Like he was like, yeah, cool. Who wants him? Yeah, take him. Yeah. Listen. DeAndre Swift, congratulations, my man. You came out and showed us your full potential. It's exciting to watch. You got the opportunities, you got the touches, and you made the best of them. And I'm sorry, you got vultured by Jalen Hurts on goal line touchdowns. All right, twice. Now, risky start. Kirk Cousins. And listen, my risky start at the episode was Kenneth Gainwell was my risky start. I thought he was going to play. I thought, hey, he got 18 touches last week. He is a guy that is worth picking up. He's a guy that's maybe worth putting in the lineup. I think he'll get a good chance. He obviously was rolled out of the game. I jumped on board with Wes. Great. Kirk Cousins, risky start. Let me preface this with, we have now evolved to the point of playing fantasy football with 6 points per passing touchdown. A touchdown counts the same for every single player. So there you go. There's that. Kirk Cousins, 36.56 fantasy points. There's a decent chance we just saw the quarterback one play on the week in the first game. Like 36.56 fantasy points, 31 for 44, 364 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had a fumble, so that could have been nearly 39 fantasy points for Kirk Cousins. What a game. He's taking advantage of his weapons that he's got there. I know I was out on
no
TJ
interceptions.
Hawkinson. Yeah, no picks. No picks.
That's what I did not see coming.
Eagles defense. Me either. Because primetime Kirk usually does not do this. He does not pull out the stops like this. So
I mean, they still lost, but like fantasy purposes, like
right.
Jeez.
Yeah. I think the last time we saw Kirk Cousins play the Eagles in week 2 on primetime, he threw like 3 interceptions, and he had a terrible game. Yeah, so very good improvement for him this season against the Eagles. Obviously, they'd want to get a win. They are now 0-2. Oh, boy. And that's something to monitor there. It's almost like they were the worst 11-0 team I had seen last year. Hey, who knows? Who knows? Hey, who knows? Listen, awesome game. Justin Jefferson owners probably want to see Jefferson get a touchdown at some point, but he's making up for it by getting like 13, 14 targets. I don't remember exactly what he was at. 13
targets.
Yeah, he's making up for it. You're not without if you're a Justin Jefferson owner, but Kirk Cousins seems to be liking throwing deep ball touchdowns to Jordan Addison. Man, this is exciting stuff to see. This is awesome. Second week in a row, we've seen Jordan Addison go for a 35-plus yard touchdown. He might be that dude. He might be the guy that's just got the deep threat. There you go. Listen, but we'll see. Kirk Cousins, great game. 36.56 fantasy points. Good for him. If you started him, you're feeling pretty good. Let's go to our must-starts here real quick. I'll just talk about him. I just said Jordan Addison, 16.2 fantasy points, 4 catches, 6 targets, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Put him on the field full time now. Listen, you gave KJ Osborne his respect of being like, hey, no, he's a rookie. You're still our number 2 guy. Enough of that. All right? Enough of that. He is the dude to have out there alongside Justin Jefferson in those 2 wide receiver sets. I will be shocked and angry if after week 3 we look at this and he's still playing the wide receiver 3 role. He deserves to be the wide receiver 2. He's that dude.
And
so awesome to see him out there doing
Addison is dominating. I mean, most of his entire stat line came from that single touchdown catch, but
right.
I mean, the best is yet to come. You're going to do that off a single catch. That's what, I mean, we saw with Devonta Smith basically last night as well. But I'll say KJ Osborne dropped a pass. He dropped a wide open pass for a big, important game. Was it 2 of them? So
2 drops. He had 2 drops. And that was when the first one I was like, Jordan Addison wouldn't have dropped that. And then he made up for it by catching the wide open touchdown KJ Osborne did. So I was like, all right, whatever.
Very wide
and then
open.
He dropped a second one on their last touchdown drive. And I was like, get Jordan Addison on the field. Like, get KJ Osborne. KJ, get out of here. Come on. Get out of here.
Osborne is fluke or for real. That's a fluke. I know it's only 12.4 points, but that's a fluke. Let's. I'm with you on this. Let's get Addison as number 2, and let's get him more PPR volume. 6 targets is great, but he can do more. He's proven that in 2 straight weeks. That's a touchdown in his first 2 games. Each of his first 2 games as an NFL player. Absolutely back you on that.
Jordan Addison's that dude. Hey, and Wes, now let's jump to your must start because, hey, Dallas Goedert had 6 catches on 7 targets. Come on, that is much better than 0 for 1, just 1 target. Man, he must have had, 60, 70 yards, maybe a touchdown? 22 yards. What are we doing, Eagles? Like, what's going on? I mean, listen.
Yeah.
8.2 fantasy points for Dallas Goedert is better than the goose egg you got last week. And listen, 8.2 fantasy points last week, you would have been like, great. From my tight end, I made out okay, like here. But this is the second week in a row now. This Eagles offense is winning football games, and they're not performing like they are. Like, it doesn't feel as though they are winning a football game, but they are. They're winning the games. This offense is not performing like the high-powered offense that we initially thought. I mean, I'll open it to you if you have any last comments on Dallas Goedert before I jump into just the rest of this offense, because it's just strange.
We do need to talk about the whole Eagles offense because it does feel off. And honestly, thank God for their defense because it really has saved them. Jalen Hurts does not look as sharp. He does not look as confident as he was last year. He does not look like the MVP runner-up. My bet was that Jalen Hurts was going to be MVP this year. Now, there's still so much football left to play, and they can turn it around. But this does not feel like the high-powered offense that dominated the NFL. I'm not worried, but I am confused. So, just to close out with Goddard, I'm satisfied with 8.2 points as long as I don't look at the yards total because that is very concerning to me. I have higher expectations for Goddard as well, so I can make out with this week feeling like my tight end did fine, and I'm not going to blame my tight end for the loss. But Goddard, you and I both have high expectations for Goddard, but the rest of this team, outside of the Slim Reaper, Devonta Smith, who I love. You know, he was in my top 10. I'm stoked about him. He's proven that he's worth that second, third round pick that we drafted him for. But you know who's not is A.J. Brown. This is 2 weeks in a row where he's sub 15. This is less than
doing
7.
What you want. Last week it was okay. Last week, you got 14 points, and you were like, yeah, all right. It felt like a weird game there in Foxborough, and they'll bounce back. Mike Evans just had a 19-point game against the Vikings. They'll bounce back. Baker did good. 6.9 fantasy points, and he was not happy about it. We saw.
No.
Listen, and I'll say this. I think he was being a little selfish. Listen, you're ground and pounding the ball. You're up 2 scores. I understand you're in the situation here in which you're like, hey, I'm the number 1 guy. Like I'm Hurts's dude. Like, what's going on here? Like, let's figure this out. And then, we see the footage of them getting a little heated on the sideline, and then it's like 3 straight plays to A.J. Brown, and it's like, well, those didn't succeed. So I think we see why maybe we are going elsewhere today.
Yeah,
I'm not panicking. I'm not. I think Nick Sirianni's probably kind of pissed off about this offensive performance. I mean, I don't think Nick Sirianni signed up for giving DeAndre Swift the ball 31 times on Thursday night.
That is insane. Think this is just say that again real quick.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift had 31 touches on Thursday Night Football, you guys.
What in the world?
181 total yards and a touchdown. Okay, here. All right. Yep.
As many touches as Kirk Cousins had completions.
Yeah.
What in the world?
It's pretty ridiculous. Listen, like you said, I'm not panicking, but I'm definitely going to be watching very close in week 3 because
yes,
I'm not sure what's going on here. Listen, the Eagles play the Buccaneers in week 3. We've seen now this Vikings pass offense do really good work against them. So maybe we'll get something good here in week 3 and we'll be in a good spot. Hey, maybe after week 3 we'll be going, hey, maybe it's the time to trade high because this thing still didn't look very good, but we got some good performances. You never know. We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown, 6.9 points. Like you said, Slim Reaper, Devonta Smith, awesome game. 4 catches, 5 targets, 131 yards and a touchdown. It seemed like these guys almost had reverse roles. It seemed like last year A.J. Brown was the deep ball guy and Devonta Smith made out as the deep ball guy on Thursday night. So something worth monitoring there. Jalen Hurts, I just wanna, 27 points. Go for it, yeah.
I just want to say that this is something that was starting to be thrown around in camp between who was actually going to be the number 1 wideout. Not because A.J. Brown wasn't that good, but because Devonta Smith was making that kind of a leap every single day. So that's part of my reason why I was very high on Devonta Smith. I love year 3 wide receivers, but I am a little confused about A.J. Brown's lack of use. 6 targets is fine, but that is, Justin Jefferson had 13 targets. That's what A.J. Brown should be getting. A.J. Brown, you traded for A.J. Brown and you got to the Super Bowl that same year. He should be getting more. Now, let's not forget that he did have a touchdown and they called it back off of a penalty.
Right.
But it just seems like that what the expectations were going into the season, what we were hearing out of camp, and just the sharpness of Jalen Hurts. Let me ask you this question, and then we'll close this portion here on the Eagles team. How much do you think Shane Steichen had to do with this Eagles offense? How much of it do you think is actually the play calling?
I think the play calling plays a role. I think there's something else that plays a role as well. And that is Jalen Hurts got a big bag of money this offseason. Last year, I was seeing Jalen Hurts lower his shoulder at the end of runs. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been seeing Jalen Hurts go down on his own before he gets hit on some of these runs. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it or if it is the play calling. I think play calling does play into it. Obviously, this is a first-year play caller, and Brian Johnson, Shane Steichen, and Anthony Richardson looking like Jalen Hurts in his first game.
They're looking good.
It's definitely something worth it's something. Listen, my panic meter. Listen, I'm probably at on a panic level. I'm at like a 4 out of 10. If we watch next week and I'm like, what's going on here? It's more of the same. I'm gonna probably get up to like a 7 or an 8. Like this is gonna be something I'm really concerned about. But for now, I think there are multiple. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just I'm trying to reason with things for myself, I guess. For last week was weird because it was in the rain in Foxborough and it was Bill Belichick, and this week I'm like, yeah, well, it's not the usual offense because DeAndre Swift ran the ball 28 times. They don't usually do that. At a certain point, we have to stop making excuses. So that's what I'm going to be watching for next week with this Eagles offense, because one person's getting it done, but it is not 3 people getting it done like it was last year with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. So
that is such a good point on the bag. The check Jalen Hurts got.
Did you see it as well?
Oh, I noticed it, and I was very confused.
I thought I was seeing it last week, and I was like, that was kind of weird. Maybe it was the rain he doesn't want to get like a non-contact injury, trying to cut through or something like that, like whatever. And then Thursday night, it's like, what, like I understand. I don't know.
Playing soft.
I mean, I know that's a massive D tackle and a linebacker that are about to tackle you, but he's like trying to do like a juke behind the line of scrimmage, and then he just kind of like falls down. Like he's like, yeah, no, I'm good. It's just not the same guy who's playing. It didn't look like. So we got to
I'm going to watch for that next week.
Yeah, we got to see what's going on here. Hopefully we get a bounce back next week. We'll have to wait and see. Let's talk about some of these Vikings real quick. Obviously, KJ Osborne had a touchdown, 3 catches on 6 targets for 34 yards, and a touchdown, 12.4 fantasy points. TJ Hawkinson has proven me wrong again for a second week in a row. 25.6 fantasy points for this dude.
He's doing well.
TJ Hawk. My goodness, 7 catches on 8 targets for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. When they got down for that last touchdown of the game, just to try and inch it a little closer, I literally said out loud, I was like, all right, Jordan Addison here. And then I was like, they're not going to the 175-pound dude at the 6-yard line on a pass. I was like, this isn't happening. I was like, it's going to Hawkinson, and we all know it. Like, what's going on here? So, listen, Hawkinson, proving to maybe be worth the draft pick that he was at so far. He started out the week on a week where we're hopefully going to have some healthy tight ends this week. So we'll see how it pans out. But 25.6 at the tight end spot is probably more than double what the highest tight end got last week. And it's probably Hawkinson. So good week for him. Justin Jefferson, I said, doesn't score a touchdown, but has 11 catches on 13 targets. Kirk Cousins just continues to go to this guy. Obviously, he's his dude.
First overall pick.
A top
stats
wide receiver.
Right there.
Top pick, yeah. 24.9 fantasy points. And we've come to the part of the program where we need to talk about something. And it's Alexander Madison. And I can't even sing it because it's too painful to try to be joyful right now.
Yeah.
4.9 fantasy points, 8 carries, 28 yards, 3 catches on 6 targets for 11 yards. Listen, he also fumbled. So there goes that. It could have been a 6.9 point day for Alexander Madison. We both are Madison believers, Wes, but my concern, and I'll let this be a little bit of a situation where I will point out, and I don't think it's an excuse, game script was not in Alexander Madison's favor. At one point in this game, they were down by 3 scores, and they needed to come back.
Yeah.
So passing the football happens. 6 targets, pretty decent for a running back. Now, the quality of those targets, maybe not the best. My concern was we had seen Madison in a full-time role in a Mike Zimmer offense. We had never seen him in a full-time role in a Kevin O'Connell offense. We knew what Dalvin Cook did, and we'd seen Alexander Madison be great, just like Dalvin Cook has been. What's your panic level at right now on Madison, Wes?
It's quiet uptown. It's like an 11 out of 10.
Oh man, gosh.
So Because I had him as like RB6. I was buying into this. I was ready to believe in the 20-plus point games that we saw each time he started, and just doing the math and looking at it. And there's still a lot of opportunity left. And yeah, he did kind of...
A lot of opportunity.
He rescued last week against the Bucs with a touchdown, or actually a receiving touchdown. But it really is one last time one last time for next week to just see what happens with Madison, because if they can stick to the ground game just for a little bit, which is a lot to ask from the offense that throws the ball more times than any other offense for game scripts, and this is obviously why, because their defense can't stop anybody, I'm very worried. And I think I'm the only one that's willing to give him a chance for next week. But, I mean, who do you even trade him for? I mean, there's nobody that's... Najee Harris? Like, I mean, what's the difference here?
Right.
I am incredibly worried. There were some moments where I felt like I could see what Madison kind of was like when he was Dalvin's backup. A couple of runs, but he didn't even seem like he was running full of speed. He didn't even feel like that he was trying to initiate contact. It felt like that he was just trying to not get hurt. Like he doesn't want to get bruised or something. I am upset. I'm upset at this. I don't want to overreact, but I've got the white flag holstered to my hip, and I'm ready to wave it and say, I was wrong about Madison. 2 games in. It's a bit of an overreaction. We got to wait. But
Madison, not cookies. Okay.
Not cookies.
Here's my silver lining before we close up Thursday Night Football. Here's my silver lining with Alexander Madison. I saw Ty Chandler once the entire game. Alexander Madison is on the field nearly every single snap. He is the guy. He will be on the field for the opportunities. He will be out there. He does not have competition. It is very clear that is the case. Like they signed Myles Gaskin when he got cut from the Dolphins, and then he didn't even make the 53-man roster for the Vikings. Like it was like, no, never mind. We're all good here. Madison's the dude. So that is my silver lining with Alexander Madison. Hold on to that if you are an owner. We'll see what happens next week. I don't remember who they have next week, but hopefully a better situation
I'll look it up.
For Alexander Madison.
I'll look it up.
Thursday Night Football. We thought we would get through the curse of Amazon Prime. We did not. We had to deal with what we just dealt with.
Chargers. Vikings play Chargers next week.
Okay. Should be a high-scoring event. There's a chance. Raheem Mostert scored a touchdown in week 1. Had like a 12-point game. We'll see how it goes. But should hopefully be a bounce back for Alexander Madison. We'll see how it goes. Thursday Night Football. Let us know who you started. If you were happy, if you were sad, if you were a Kirk Cousins starter, congratulations. You nailed it. There you go. Listen, we're looking forward to the rest of the week now. And before we jump into Studs and Duds, we just want to do a new little segment with you guys. And we call it Beat the Crowd. And what Beat the Crowd is going to be, Wes and I are each going to give a player that is out on your waiver wire right now. This is someone that we think, if they have the performance that they can have in week 2, these guys are going to be at the top of waiver ads after the week finishes. So we're here to tell you right now, go get these guys, beat the crowd, and not have to stress over how much fab to spend on a player. We're going to tell you right now who you should go get. Listen, this is a perfect scenario if you have someone who has gone into your IR spot and you need to pick somebody up. If it doesn't work out, you can drop them again. But we are giving you players that we're going to hedge our bets on. We're going to say, beat the crowd, go get these guys right now. We think it is going to be worth it. I'm going to start out here.
I love this, by the way.
I know you do.
This is a great segment.
My first player in our Beat the Crowd segment for the 2023 fantasy football season, it's going to be Mr. Josh Downs, rookie wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Wide receiver 3, but here I'm going to tell you just a quick little blurb. Ready? Anthony Richardson, we all thought, man, infinite rushing upside. I wonder how much he's going to throw. I'm not sure how he's going to be as a thrower. Let me tell you, he threw 37 passes on Sunday. Anthony Richardson is slinging the ball. And guess what? Josh Downs was second on the team in targets, only behind Michael Pittman Jr. He had 7 targets on Sunday, and people aren't really talking about it because he only had 3 catches off of it. 3 catches for 30-something yards. He had around 6 fantasy points. Listen, if Josh Downs gets another 7 targets this week, maybe he gets into the end zone, you know what people are going to be doing, how much fab people are going to be giving up to get these guys on their team. No, it is going to be somebody that you need to go grab now, because I believe Josh Downs has a connection with Anthony Richardson. When you are a small dude like Josh Downs, and you are the wide receiver 3 on a team like Josh Downs, and you are a rookie on a team like Josh Downs with a rookie quarterback for your team like Josh Downs has, you don't tend to get 7 targets in your NFL debut, and Josh Downs did. He is worth grabbing right now if you have the roster spot on your bench. If you have an opportunity, put someone in IR to grab him. Grab Josh Downs, because I think if he has the week we think he can have, he will be at the top of waiver wire ads next week, and you will have beat the crowd. Grab Josh Downs. He's out there in over 90% of sleeper leagues right now. He should be there for you. Go grab him. Josh Downs has got me hyped up, man.
You're making me cry because I love Josh Downs.
Wes is the biggest Josh Downs fan I know.
Oh. You even texted me before we did this segment. You're like, are you all right that I do Josh Downs? I was like, yes, please, somebody else believe in him with me. Josh Downs is my number 2 wide receiver from this rookie class. It's hard to say anyone's better than Jackson Smith and Jigba with what he did, but Josh Downs, I think, is better than Jordan Addison. I think Josh Downs is better than Zay Flowers. That is what I saw from the highlights and the college career that he had. Josh Downs is the next Steve Smith Sr. I'm not joking around here. I love the guy. And as soon as Richardson showed up in Indianapolis, he and Josh Downs started playing backyard football at the hotel. I mean, it was legitimate. They do have a connection. Josh Downs is amazing. Yeah. If you are in any leagues with me, you probably don't have Josh Downs available as a waiver wire. Same. Because I already do, because I just believed in him. And the 7 targets is serious.
Yeah,
that is serious. I love
Beat the crowd.
This man.
Go get Josh Downs.
Beat the crowd.
Wes, tell us who else they should beat the crowd to go get, because this is a fun little segment. We're going to finish this up and then jump into studs and duds and close out the episode. But tell us who.
It relates to another rookie quarterback that was taken first overall. Bryce Young is going to look for this receiver as soon as he's back. I think he's back this week from an injury. His name is DJ Chark.
Yep, there it is.
Chark, DJ Chark. So, why him? Because we've been looking at Adam Thielen as the veteran experience for Bryce Young. Hayden Hurst seems to be the favorite target. Scored his very first touchdown and threw it up into the Bank of America Stadium, and that's gone forever. And then there's Jonathan Mingo as well, who I think is also I think the 3rd best wide receiver I saw from this class as well. Jonathan Mingo looks like he could be the next Terrell Owens if things go his way. Why DJ Chark? I'll tell you why. All the training camp days between Bryce Young and DJ Chark, I've pulled up what happened every single day. Day 1, Bryce Young hits DJ Chark for a 40-yard passing touchdown, and then a 30-yard passing touchdown. Day 2, DJ Chark continues to splash as a deep threat wide receiver. And then day 3, Bryce Young really likes hitting DJ Chark on the deep ball. He makes an amazing catch. These are the summaries from the Panthers beat writers, by the way. Young to Chark, deep, once again. Day 5, Young to Chark, deep for touchdown. It's every single day, also as a red zone target for a score. I won't go through all 12 days of camp for the Panthers that I got notes on. But DJ Chark is the deep threat for the Panthers. And what Bryce Young is used to for his receiving core is Thielen and Mingo and Chark and Hurst. And he was missing a very important piece, the deep threat option as well. Hayden Hurst was dealing with an ankle injury as well. Throw that out there because maybe that plays into effect why Adam Thielen only got 1 point something points. Beat the crowd if you've got an extra spot, if you're interested, if you can't get Josh Downs, because honestly, I love Josh Downs. I prefer him right now. Check out DJ Chark. I think once we see his first week 1 performance, you're going to see a pretty interesting stat line, something like 3 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown. That's my bet on Mr. DJ Chark for the Panthers.
I buy in, so much so to the point where, Wes, while you were talking, I grabbed my phone and went, I've got Jonathan Mingo in a league. I think I'm going to drop him for DJ Chark. And then I looked it up.
Real time. Yes.
And then I looked it up. And you have DJ Chark in this league. So he's putting his money where his mouth is, you guys. I couldn't even grab him because Wes already had DJ Chark.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He's a believer. I was like, yeah, no, you make a good point. I wasn't super impressed with Mingo or anybody else. Chark might be the guy. Let me see. Oh, no, Wes already has him. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. Wes has already beat the crowd of the crowd. Like it's a one-man crowd right now when we record this, and Wes already beat this crowd. So there you go. DJ Chark seems to have the deep ball connection with Bryce Young. Bryce Young can get that ball downfield, and if he has the time, he will definitely be a guy who is going to benefit DJ Chark. I like it. Beat the crowd and grab him. That is Beat the Crowd. Let us know if you guys like it. Leave a comment. Let us know if there's somebody we should be considering for Beat the Crowd. It's somebody else that you're thinking about. Maybe it's somebody at a tight end spot. Who knows? But if there's somebody you have in mind, drop it in the comments. Let us know. Excuse me. Let's jump into studs and duds because we got to talk about some people who are going to overcome their expectations this week and people who are going to underperform. Wes, start us out with your stud for week 2 of the NFL season.
My stud, week 2, is Ramondre Stevenson, running back for the New England Patriots. We were a little surprised with how Ezekiel Elliott performed last week. I think it was something that we considered into how this might affect Stevenson and Zeke. Not too much. We didn't touch on it a lot because it wasn't a bad enough performance by Stevenson to say, oh, maybe Zeke is going to be a 50-50 split in the backfield. It's going to be a tandem. And Zeke also didn't do enough to make us think like, oh, maybe we should draft Zeke. But Stevenson did not perform as the second-round, third-round talent that we drafted him, especially before Zeke signed with New England. But he will this week against the Miami Dolphins on Sunday night because Austin Eckler just put up a ton of points against that defense, and Joshua Kelly had 91 yards rushing as well. So you put that together, Stevenson, who is a beast, is going to do so very well against the Dolphins defense. And on top of that, he is going to get targeted a ton. He is one of Mac Jones's go-to targets. Something I saw in preseason as well is how many play designs for that Patriots offense were throws to the running back. So you're going to have great ground game from Stevenson and PPR value, which is something that blew my mind when we were first putting together running back rankings during this offseason. It was like, oh my gosh, he had like 70 targets. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Week 2 is going to prove to you this very Sunday night why Ramondre Stevenson was the guy you drafted as your RB1. He's only projected at 13 points. Blow that out of the water. He could get that in a single play, honestly.
Yeah.
Single scoring play, that's going to be an easy stud for me this week.
Yeah, Ramondre is a guy that I love a lot. And yes, Wes, you are correct. We watched the Los Angeles Chargers absolutely destroy the Dolphins' run defense. For the sake of being a Dolphins fan, I hope this does not go your way here with him being a stud. I hope we figure out this run defense for Miami. But even if we do, Stevenson is a threat in the passing game as well. I believe he saw 6 targets last week. He caught a receiving touchdown last week, if I'm correct. I believe I am. Ramondre Stevenson is a guy that is utilized in this offense. I know they're getting Devontae Parker back, but outside of Hunter Henry and Kendrick Bourne, I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to be the next most... Ramondre Stevenson is the most talented player on this offense. In the passing game, I believe Ramondre Stevenson, outside of Hunter Henry and Kendrick Bourne, could be the guy who receives the 3rd most targets. He's going to get good looks in the passing game. Ramondre Stevenson, 13.3 is pretty low. I think he's definitely going to go past that. I think he gets in the end zone at least once on Sunday night. So feel confident starting Ramondre Stevenson.
So Ramondre Stevenson actually did not get any touchdowns last week, but he still finished with about 15 points. Isn't that surprising?
Okay,
yeah.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Did he have like 6 catches?
He did have 6 targets and 6 catches, so you were correct on that. But outside of Kendrick Bourne, Juju Smith-Schuster had 7 targets and 4 catches. That was the next biggest threat in the passing game. So Juju had 7 points. So I was checking my phone to make sure that all the stuff is correct. But Stevenson's going to be great ground and through the air. So I'm psyched about him, and we'll be able to see that full value in Sunday night as well under the lights. It's going to be a great game. Who is your stud for this week, Noah? Who do you believe in?
I believe in my boy. Last year, week 2, primetime football, I called my shot again. Said Mikey Dubs is a must start. I rode with him in week 1. He did not do a thing for me in week 1 of 2022. I rode with him again in week 2 of 2022. He balled out against Kansas City Chiefs, put up big numbers. He's balling out week 2 of 2023, baby. He goes up against the Tennessee Titans. Listen, this Chargers passing offense was not what people expected it would be in week 1 against the Miami Dolphins. Justin Herbert barely threw for over 200 yards. He was around the 220, 230-yard mark. Only had 1 passing touchdown. That was to Keenan Allen. That was to Donald Parham. That wasn't even to Keenan Allen.
Rando.
I believe. Yeah, so strange.
Yeah.
This passing offense is going to bounce back. Right. Allen almost scored. He came up like a yard short, and then Eckler or Kelly ran it in, one of the two. Or actually, no, I believe it was a touchdown to Parham. Either way, weird passing day for this Chargers offense. Not how Kellen Moore wanted to start off the season. And listen, they get the Tennessee Titans this week. Saints wide receivers last week against the Tennessee Titans averaged 16.4 fantasy points. Rashid Shaheed had 19 fantasy points against the Titans. Chris Olave was around like the 9 or 10 catch mark with over 120 yards. Like, he was out there balling out. The Titans defense is susceptible to the passing game. I believe Mike Williams is the deep threat guy on this offense. And while Quentin Johnston will make his mark on this offense, I do believe that Mike Williams still is the number 2 target behind Keenan Allen and just ahead of Gerald Everett. Obviously, Austin Eckler will get his touches as well. But for the people who are going to be running routes down the field, Mike Williams is a guy that I'm excited about. I think he gets in the end zone. I think he gets at least 70 yards this week, and he has at least 4 touchdowns. At least 4 catches. At least 4. Big week for Mike Williams, stud of the year. No, at least 4 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. I think Mike Williams is going to have an awesome day. He's going to light it up out there with Justin Herbert. He's my stud. Pretty much because I think the Titans suck, man. I don't know what's going on here.
Oh, I was going to get into that as like my biggest reason. Like, you could just tell me the Titans are playing this team, and I'll start those receivers against the Titans. I mean, it's already looking like what we were predicting about how the Titans may be one of the worst teams already.
Yeah.
It's
tough.
Oh my gosh.
It's tough.
I will also say that, yes, I'm excited for Quentin Johnston's career with the Chargers, and I like what will happen, especially with Justin Herbert in another season, the next year as well. There's an opportunity for Quentin Johnston to be there, especially with how things may go with Keenan Allen next year. He may not play for the Chargers. But in my mind, there's no question Mike Williams is number 2 for the entire season. There's no question that I don't see Quentin Johnston as a threat to Quentin Johnston's biggest threat is Josh Palmer. I think that's really what happens is Quentin Johnston end up doing that bad that they put in Josh Palmer for a couple of opportunities. Right. It's solidified between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. So it's in 13.6 points or the projection for Mike Williams. I do see that being met, especially off a single score, which I do also believe he will get. Mm-hmm. Titans are stinky poopy diaper, but I feel pretty bad for Titans fans. I really like this stud.
SPDB right
Good
there.
pick. Yeah.
Speaking of SPDB, let's go to our duds. Because, Wes, you've got a dud who is a guy that, man, made some plays last week. But talk to me about your dud for week 2.
Yeah, and I just want you to hear me out. Because this is the reason that I believe the projection is correct. Because it's lower than we want out of the New York Jets starting running back Breece Hall. He's my dud. He's projected 10.4 points right now. I think that is going to happen. Because this is what I am predicting from the Cowboys defense. They're going to make Zach Wilson win. They're going to try to make Zach Wilson win. Okay, we're going to stop the run, and you are going to have to beat us to the air, Zach. Obviously, your team doesn't believe in you. They got your replacement, who is twice your age, to lead this team, and then he's out 4 snaps in. Zach Wilson. Yes, he did make a couple of good throws. In fact, he made one really amazing throw on Monday night. And yes, he's got Garrett Wilson, who can make anybody look like a half-decent quarterback. And I was tempted to say Garrett Wilson, but I think Garrett Wilson is otherworldly in talent. And I started considering one thing, which is that Micah Parsons is going to stop Breece Hall. I really do believe that. I have a friend who's a Cowboys fan. I went up to him, talked about that Sunday night game against the Giants, and was like, what the heck? We all went into the season believing that Micah Parsons was going to be Defensive Player of the Year. And after Sunday night, we said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It was MVP. We meant to say MVP. It was not just Defensive Player. You're the best player in the NFL. Micah Parsons is going to shut down Breece Hall, and they're going to force the Jets to try to pass, which is going to look really rough. That's why Breece is my dud. I think that 10 points is accurate.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I will say I think he gets around that 10-point mark. Maybe it's 9. Maybe it gets right to 10. And I think the way I see this happening is, yes, this passing defense, this Cowboys defense is going to be all over every piece of this offense. I'm fairly certain. I think this happens because Zach Wilson is going to go, say, oh God, okay, where's Breece Hall? And then just throw it. And that's it. He will have no time, and he is going to have to throw the ball. I think Breece Hall gets at least like 4 receptions this game. Maybe he doesn't make much of them. Maybe he gets 5 or 10 yards out of them. Maybe he gets 4 catches for 40 yards, whatever. But I think there's going to be dump-offs designed for Breece Hall. Nathaniel Hackett, as much as we want to drag the guy, knows how to get playmakers the ball. So I think there is a chance that Breece Hall gets around this 10-point mark. I agree. I think this is a lower prediction than we want, and I think it's probably accurate. And so that's why I think people are probably going to be disappointed this week. They're going to go, oh, Breece Hall, 10 points. Man, he's going to blow past that. He's Breece Hall. Not so sure. Saquon Barkley had like 9 points last week or something like that, and it was not very good against this against this Cowboys defense. So Breece Hall, I agree. I think he's going to be a disappointment this week.
And most of Saquon's points were actually in the passing game as well, which is another good point,
right.
Too. Now, if Breece Hall does blow this projection out of the water, then he's going to be top 10, no doubt. Top 10 running back for the season, because if you can do this against Micah Parsons, the Cowboys defense, you do this against anybody. Now, let's close out the show. This is an interesting one. I like where this might go. Who's your dud for the week, Noah?
My dud is Davante Adams. Listen, this is a contingency dud. This is if Jacoby Myers plays. He is in the concussion protocol right now. If Jacoby Myers plays, Davante Adams is a dud. We saw it last week. A top-tier cornerback in the NFL, Pat Surtain II, played lockdown on Davante Adams. He had 6 catches for 66 yards. 12.6 is not what you want out of Davante Adams. Well, I mean, Pat Surtain II is really, really good. There's no way he's going up against like another one this week, right? Yeah, no, just a guy named Tre'Davious White, who had to have one of the best catches I've ever seen happen on him to allow a wide receiver 1 for a team to score 14 fantasy points. Listen, this is not going to be a great matchup. I think the Bills' defense is very good. I think they're going to play good coverage on Davante Adams, and I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be forced to throw the ball to Jacoby Myers. He's going to have to go to an alternate option. Now, if Jacoby Myers does not play, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have no choice but to throw Davante Adams the football 15 times. And on 15 targets, Davante Adams is probably going to get around 16 points. I would guess. I guess he gets a touchdown. I guess he gets those points there. But if Jacoby Myers plays, Jimmy Garoppolo is a smart quarterback. He's going to get the football to who he needs to get the football to for the offense to be successful. I think Jacoby Myers, we talked about it already. I don't think that was a fluke. I think he's going to be a legit player this year. We look at, I heard some people, I can't remember who it was. I heard some people talking about this Raiders offense this year and how the passing game is no longer going through a tight end as the first or second target. We aren't used to seeing a second wide receiver on the Las Vegas Raiders be fantasy relevant because Darren Waller existed. Hunter Renfrow was the wide receiver 10 a couple of years ago. He was really awesome. That was a season that Darren Waller had first gotten hurt, and he was dealing with injury. I think this thing with Jacoby Myers is legit, and if he plays on Sunday, I do believe that Davante Adams has another disappointing week. So I think it's worth monitoring. If you've got Davante Adams, obviously you roll him out there. You drafted him early. Temper expectations, though. I think it could be a little bit duddy. So he's my dud for week 2.
I have nothing to add. I am hooked. Interesting.
I was thinking about it all day. I was thinking about, man, I think... Because we're getting news that Myers is still in the protocol. But I'm like, man, I think Jacoby Myers is legit. Like, I really do. I think he has a chance to really be a consistent fantasy option this year. Jacoby
Patriots
Myers
fans
awesome,
will tell you that.
Yeah. So will Raiders fans because he gave him a game-winning touchdown last year.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was fun.
He sure did.
Yeah. Here, Chandler Jones, take the ball. There you go.
Yeah. I'll see you next year,
man.
In black and silver.
I'll see you next year. Yeah, I'll join the team soon. It was just he was putting in a bid to be on the Raiders. Listen, that is going to do it for the episode. Let us know if you're an Alexander Madison owner. Are you being patient? Let us know what you're going to do here. Do you trust the Eagles' offense to get going? Let us know if you're going to beat the crowd, if you're going to grab Josh Downs, if you're going to grab DJ Chark. We got some good intel for you. We hope you follow it. We hope you listen to it. Listen, make Teddy the Troll smile by hitting that subscribe button, ringing that bell, leaving us a like, leaving us a comment. Be sure to check us out on all our social media, which are up on the screen down below us. Join us on Tuesday for our Week 2 recap as we look forward to Week 3 Thursday Night Football. Then, Godspeed. Everybody have a fantastic fantasy football weekend. Week 2, it's early on in the season, guys. Don't give up hope. I am Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy. 4th and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media and Selby Artistic Workshop.